moment the screen flickered on and you heard Mike Vrabel's voice, you could practically feel a shiver run down your spine. There was no music, no flashy graphics, just him standing in the middle of that hallowed turf in Foxborough, speaking directly to every player, coach, and staff member within earshot. It wasn't a pep talk, and it wasn't a celebration of past glories. It was a declaration of intent. Vrabel looked each man in the eye, camera lens or not, and laid out what it meant to wear that uniform in 2025. He didn't sugarcoat it. He didn't reminisce about Super Bowls won or record books shattered. Instead, he reminded them of their responsibility to build a program they would defend with every fiber of their being, to run onto that field each Sunday ready to earn the right to be proud of one another. When he spoke of culture, it wasn't an empty buzzword. He told the story of walking into the Patriots facility nearly 2 decades ago, watching greatness take shape under Belichick and Brady, witnessing how the simplest standards, doing the little things right, holding each other accountable, refusing to accept anything less than total commitment, added up to dynasties. He spoke of respect, honesty, trust, and accountability not as corporate slogans, but as the very pillars on which a team's identity stands or falls. And in that moment, with his voice echoing through the hallways, you felt the weight of every championship banner hanging in that stadium, as if they were heavy reminders of what happens when a locker room forgets those 4 words. Then came the demonstration, a young offensive lineman whose name we didn't catch at first, standing in front of Vrabel in a blocking stance. The coach, with that trademark intensity, engaged him in a simple 2-man drill. Hands on shoulder pads, feet planted. The whole defensive line meets offensive line scenario stripped down to its raw essence. Vrabel shifted his weight, tested the player's base, and with a sudden burst shoved him backward. It wasn't about strength so much as technique, leverage, and heart. As the camera zoomed in, you could almost hear that pop of collision, feel the gravity of that moment. "This is what I want this program to be," he said, voice low but thunderous. Every single day, there were no glamorous cutaways or Hollywood-style montages, just real men being tested, real standards being enforced. It was football in its purest form, with consequences for failure and rewards for maximum effort. You could see the resolve hardening in those guys' eyes. You could almost taste the crisp morning air of the first OTA, hear the thud of helmets, the scrape of cleats on turf, the murmur of a locker room suddenly alive with purpose. And it wasn't just about physical dominance. Vrabel made it crystal clear. Personal conduct matters as much as performance in pads. He drew an invisible line in the sand, declaring a zero-tolerance policy for distractions, drama, or excuses. If someone couldn't uphold the standard, they would answer for it. And if necessary, they would find themselves out of the building. You sense that the old laissez-faire attitude, the complacency that crept in last season, had no place here. Instead, there would be clarity, structure, and unrelenting accountability day in and day out. When he wrapped up, there was a hush, a collective exhale. No roaring crowd, no triumphant soundtrack. Just that heavy silence that follows a challenge. Thrown down, and in that silence you felt it. A program reborn, a culture reset, a new era dawning under a coach who understands what it takes because he's lived it. You could almost hear the fabric of Foxborough itself sigh with relief, as if the ghost of past champions were whispering, "Finally, the Patriots' way is back." As the credits rolled on episode 1, your mind buzzed with anticipation. You knew this was only the beginning. There would be drills, film sessions, roster battles, and draft rooms still to come, but that opening sequence had already set the tone. Football was not back. It never left. What was back was the unwavering standard, the unspoken bond, the relentless pursuit of excellence that defined this franchise for so long. Mike Vrabel had staked his claim. And as the screen faded to black, one thing was certain. Foxborough would never be the same. The second episode opened before the sun had even kissed the skyline, the pale blue of dawn brushing over the Gillette Stadium facade like a silent promise. Inside the weight room, fluorescent lights buzzed quietly above a sea of iron, sweat, and focus. There was no music, no hype, no social media influencers posting curated workouts. Just the unmistakable clang of plates and the sound of breath. being pushed through gritted teeth. Mike Vrabel was there, not barking orders, not looming like a drill sergeant, but walking slowly from rack to rack, eyes sharp, noting everything, not just how much weight was being moved, but how it was being moved. Effort, posture, intent. These were the measurements that mattered now. You could see it in the posture of the players. A certain stiffness had given way to alertness, as if the entire team had been woken up from a long, unfocused dream. Strength coach Moses Cabrera spoke. Sparingly, his commands clipped and direct. Explode! Reset. Lower. There were no shortcuts, no exceptions. Veteran players were treated no differently than rookies. Everyone was rebuilding from the same foundation. Brick by grueling brick, the camera caught one lineman on the verge of collapse mid-set, trembling under a barbell, and you watched as Vrabel stepped in. No words, just a firm hand under the elbow, a nod. The rep went up. The rep mattered. In the meeting rooms, it was the same story. Precision, execution, detail. Defensive backs sat in silence as film from last year played. Missed. Tackles, soft coverage, poor angles. Vrabel paused the tape. He didn't yell. He asked questions. Why did this happen? What was your responsibility here? What would you do differently? The players squirmed, some embarrassed, some angry, all learning. It wasn't about shame. It was about understanding that every mistake on tape was a mistake lived in real time. A blown assignment that could cost a drive, a game, a season. Every second of that tape mattered. The new staff didn't just demand answers, they demanded solutions. At lunch, conversations weren't about nightlife or social media metrics. They were about leverage, cadence, tempo. A few rookies ate together, heads buried in iPads, flipping through playbooks and cut-ups. You saw the slow bonding begin. Linemen from rival colleges now laughing together over protein shakes. A quarterback quizzing a wide receiver on hot routes between bites of grilled chicken. These weren't yet friendships, but they were building. Blocks. Trust was taking root in small gestures, quiet moments. The culture was shifting not with grand gestures, but with the accumulation of thousands of tiny decisions made the right way. The highlight of the episode wasn't a dramatic locker room speech or a viral practice clip. It was the first full squad walkthrough. It was quiet, clinical, no pads, no hits. Just motion, timing, repetition, every player moving in unison, each drill repeated until it became muscle memory. Mike McDonald, the new defensive coordinator, was stoic on the sideline, watching the shape of his schemes begin to form like an architect surveying blueprints. He corrected stances, not with anger, but with clarity. He was not trying to impress. He was trying to install. Across the field, new offensive coordinator Alex Van Pelt was equally deliberate, talking through protection calls with the quarterbacks, diagramming route trees with receivers using nothing more than a football and a patch of empty grass. Every detail had weight, every adjustment had purpose, and yet it wasn't robotic. You could feel energy brewing beneath the surface. In one-on-one reps, young corners battled seasoned wideouts. Each rep a chess match, each release or backpedal a test of discipline. Coaches didn't need to scream because the players began to police themselves. "Do it again," one safety said after getting beat on a slant. That was on me. That was the kind of accountability Vrabel had spoken about, and now it was growing, not from the top down, but from within. It wasn't discipline imposed by fear. It was respect born of shared mission. Then came the draft room footage. It was war room atmosphere without the theatrics. Scouts leaned over laptops. Area reports were dissected. Debates got heated, not over stats or combine scores, but over football character. Who loves the game? Who will grind at 6 a.m. on a Tuesday? In November, when the season is long and the playoffs are fading? Vrabel and the front office weren't chasing stars. They were seeking soldiers, leaders, workers, players who would show up battered and bruised and still find a way to win the rep. You could see how methodical the process was. Every prospect was a puzzle piece, and they weren't just trying to fill gaps. They were trying to fit the identity being constructed in real time on that practice field outside. One moment stood out. The interview clip of a linebacker prospect projected in the third round, not a blue chip name, but you could see it in his eyes. Intensity, humility, presence. He wasn't polished. He wasn't charming. But he talked about special teams with the same reverence others use to describe touchdowns. Vrabel watched the footage in silence, then nodded once. That's our guy. That was the standard now. Love of the game, willingness to do the dirty work, the backbone of every great team. Before we continue, don't forget to subscribe to Patriots Hub and give this video a like. Your support helps us keep delivering the latest updates on our New England Patriots. And don't be shy. Share your thoughts on the news in the comments below. In a surprising twist that has set the New England Patriots locker room abuzz, rumors are swirling that offensive lineman Mike ONWENU has allegedly declined to form a close partnership with rookie quarterback Drake Maye. While no official statements have been made, insiders suggest that ONWENU's decision has left many within the organization shocked and somewhat puzzled. Sources close to the team hint that ONWENU, known for his quiet demeanor and steadfast professionalism, may be hesitant to immediately align himself with the young signal caller, despite Maye being heralded as the future of the franchise. Some speculate that ONWENU, who recently secured a significant contract extension, might be focusing more on asserting his leadership on his own terms rather than becoming part of what some are already calling the Maye era, the Patriots locker. Room dynamics are reportedly tense as a result of this rumored rift. Several veteran players are said to be trying to mediate and encourage unity, emphasizing the importance of building trust between the offensive line and the quarterback. Others, however, quietly acknowledge that such tensions are not uncommon during transitional periods, especially when a new quarterback is poised to take over the reins. Observers note that ONWENU's decision, if true, could complicate Maye's integration into the team, potentially slowing down the development of crucial on-field chemistry. Offensive linemen and quarterbacks typically forge close bonds, working in sync to protect the pocket and orchestrate the offense. Without that implicit trust and cooperation, the Patriots' offense may face additional hurdles as they prepare for the upcoming season. Despite the swirling rumors, team officials have declined to comment publicly on the matter, and both ONWENU and Maye have maintained their usual reserved postures in media appearances. Some fans view this as much ado about nothing, interpreting the silence as a sign of professionalism and unwillingness to feed into media speculation. Others, however, worry that where there's smoke, there may be fire. As the Patriots head into training camp, all eyes will be on how this potential situation evolves. Will ONWENU and Maye find common ground and solidify their partnership for the good of the team? Or will this rumored discord linger, casting a shadow over what many hope will be a promising new chapter in New England football? For now, it remains a tantalizing possibility, fueling discussions among analysts and fans. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to stay updated with exclusive news about our New England Patriots, be sure to subscribe to Patriots Hub and hit that like button. We can't wait to hear your thoughts in the comments. See you in the next video.